are you feeling today, Alex?
Ooh.
I feel like it's Saturday, but it feels like a Sunday kind of Saturday.
Yeah. I feel good, I think. What's going on, you know? But I'm kind of living.
Yeah.
I'm kind of loving this.
Yeah.
Kind of loving this.
Me too.
I'm just kind of floating in all of it. It's kind of great.
Because you don't feel trapped.
Yeah.
In
yeah,
a way.
I feel free.
Yeah. Freedom!
Yep. Feel free. Freedom.
We have to be like, no, stop. Save it for the pod.
Yeah. I think this is Mark Manson again. I think. Or someone like that. Where like if you go to a restaurant and there's like 3 things on the menu and you pick one, it's like you have less chances of being disappointed than if there's like 20 things and then you pick one. There's more of a chance of you being like, I could have done that and that would have been good.
Right.
So how it's basically an argument about like how having too many possibilities is also kind of not good sometimes because you just get paralyzed by it, which I definitely think is true, and I've felt that way as well.
Yeah.
But also cutting off all possibilities is also like when you're like 23, 22, 21, you know, like I don't know about when you're 40. I mean, I can't tell you anything about being 40. I'm not 40, but like right now it feels like although cutting some stuff is good, I think like, okay, I'm probably never gonna be like a mechanic.
Right.
Let's cut that off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Having like some sort of direction helps, but also I feel like trying to do everything too structured, like we were talking about yesterday, like get a partner, like, which for some people like you have a partner, but it kind of just happened. But I feel like some people, like a lot of people, kind of get a partner more because they're stressed of like ending up alone than because it actually naturally happened. Yeah, because it actually happens. They're kind of just like, okay, this is the time that I should like get into a relationship and probably get married soon, blah blah blah. Yeah. So like, you know, get a partner, get a steady job, move into an apartment, go to the gym, read books, blah 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 blah, which are all like good things, don't get me wrong, but if you do them just because you're being told to do them and not doing them because you feel that is right for you at that time, then I feel like it's not actually benefiting you. Really, like I think there's things that are good in it, but also it's good to like put like, you know, have possibilities again, and like that's the shit that people romanticize the most. That's when you look back on your life, you're gonna be like, that time was fucking cool. We would get drunk with friends and didn't know what we were doing, and we broke as shit. You know, that's the shit that people make movies about. Yeah. And it's stressful when you're in it sometimes, a little bit, but also like
stressful.
The
most stressful.
But like also embrace that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Embrace the chaos.
Oh my god. Because like no one remembers. I mean, like, I feel like when you're living such a routine life and you do the same thing every day, but you feel centered, you feel organized, and you feel, you know, you wake up, you work out, you have your coffee, you've meal prepped, you read before you went to bed or whenever you feel like going to bed. All these things, like, you've cleaned things, like, that's like one memory. That's not like all like these individual things. That's like if you do that for like 15 years. You remember your life as like one. You have like one memory. Like nothing's like, and that's crazy. And that's all you know, and that's all you think about, and that's all you project onto other people, and you're just like blind and oblivious to life.
That's true.
Which is like, and like that's the stuff that you're like, I really need to do this. I really need to do it. It's gonna be good for me. It's gonna be better for me. It's so crazy. It's like how do you do things that are good for you? Well. Like, and it's not that, like, not doing those things are not good for you necessarily. It's just, like, it's like you have to mix them both, and it's so,
there's a balance, I think.
I think that's the secret of life, finding out how to mix them both. You know? Yeah. Like the answer to that is, like, the secret of life.
But I feel like
there is no...
There's no answer, because it's a continuous process. Yeah. It's a continuous process, and it'll probably vary at different points of your life. Like, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with, like, reading and going to the I love doing that shit. I love doing that shit. I love meal prepping. I love cooking for myself. I love training. Like, I love all these things. It's just that when I do them because I know it's something I love, so I should do it,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just like because I feel
Like you
like
have
I
to.
want it. Well, maybe I just want to do it, you
Yeah.
know? And I should do that when the word becomes should rather than want,
Yeah.
I feel like then it becomes like a task.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets so complicated though with like discipline, because there are times you have to push yourself and do things you don't want to do. That's just, and then you feel more fulfillment. At least for me personally, when you know that you can trust yourself to do these things even when you're not having a good time.
Yeah.
But where's the line there with like also balancing that with like making space for like spontaneous. Well, I can't say it.
Spontaneity or
that.
I actually don't know if that's it.
Like impulse.
Yeah.
Stuff and like life to happen, and you know, life happens, like shit can happen to your family and you feel like shit for a week and you don't want to go to the fucking gym.
Yeah.
Like that's so valid.
Yeah.
That is so absolutely valid.
Yeah.
And there's times where you are like, you know, like young 20s or teenagers, or I don't know about any other age because I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
But you know, like where you feel like for me right now, I feel like my relationships are so important. And like I don't have many. I don't have any, but they're so strong, you know what I mean? And I feel like I want space for that. I want space for like how we started having conversations in this car after practice for 2 hours when I had shit to do.
Right.
I want to be able to prioritize my relationships over like fucking reading.
Yeah.
Or like going to the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes like priorities change with like growing up and like how your life evolves too. And maybe there's a point of my life where I'll be so happy going to the gym and reading and having that one memory for 10 years.
Right.
Maybe I'll need that after like going fucking insane in my 20s, you know?
Yeah.
But to say that to everyone at all times of their lives.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that goes with like feeling like a sense of like consistency that grounds you, that makes you feel like, you know, you have a purpose, or like you're there, like rather than just like floating all the time, like having like one thing that kind of brings you back that and like but like that's allowed to change. Like that can be reading at one point in your life, and that can be I don't know, literally anything else at a different point, and then it doesn't have to be the same. And I think that's where people kind of like, well, if I stop doing this, like my life is over, I have nothing else, like now I'm floating again, you know what I mean? Existential crisis. Cue existential crisis.
Cue crisis.
Yeah. But I don't know, that's like the best part, is like finding new things to feel wanted or needed in your life, like just finding new things, because like what's the point if it's always the same? Well, no, that's not true, because like it can be the same always.
That's true.
And there could be multiple things that make you feel grounded. You can always have one thing that makes you feel grounded, and another thing that's constantly changing but also makes you feel grounded. I think that's where, I don't know, a lot of times I feel like we say and like I think that's where people go wrong, like we know.
Like I know, like I figured out life. Follow my lead, do what I do. I certainly have zero problems, zero mental health issues. My life is going great.
I think we just say that to make ourselves feel good.
Yeah, it feels good to like feel morally superior.
That reminds me, I don't know why, I don't know how, but it just reminded me of this one guy on Instagram, and he is so, like, I just like randomly saw him, and he's like doing all these things and like dancing in public and like talking about how like you do one embarrassing thing, that's how you become like confident and just keep doing embarrassing things. Yeah. And that's so hard, but literally once you do it, it's like, and no one cares. Like you're gonna see them once and you're never gonna see them again. But that's where I also freak out. I'm like, but what if I do see them again? Like, because then sometimes I'm like, oh, that's the guy. Oh my god. Like, well, that's pretty rare. That's like pretty fucking rare. But like, it still is a possibility in your head that like, no, they're gonna go and they're gonna, or I'm gonna be this like the weird guy in their head. But hey, then you get to be like the whole like the punchline of a joke for someone else's like,
that's true,
someone else's conversation. That's pretty awesome. That's what I honestly aspire to be.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
good.
Yeah, and that's so, but it's still like I'm still scared to do that. I'm still scared. Like there's people right out there who can probably maybe hear us.
Yeah,
because that's open. But
whatever.
You just gotta, I don't know, feel comfortable. Holy shit, I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, whatever.
There's
There's
just a
people
mic.
everywhere. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They don't know.
They don't care.
It's fine. I did have a point about that though.
Sorry.
About because it's true. Like the more you do stuff, you realize nobody gives a fuck about you, and you like you're. Oh my god, that's actually because you know it.
Yeah.
But when you do it, you feel it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? There's a difference between knowing it and like feeling it
Definitely.
with a lot of stuff. But I feel like people who say that though, like nobody cares, just go somewhere and nobody cares. It's true.
Yeah.
But for us girlies that grew up in small towns,
People do
it's
care.
not true.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not fucking true. Let me tell you.
People revolve their lives around that.
You are going to be the conversation at Tim Hortons at 9 a.m. on Sundays for a month.
And it'll get back to you through like your friend's parents and someone else's
Yes.
grandma.
Or you're that girl, and then they're gonna go see you at work and be like, "Oh, you're that girl that did that, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or they
I
won't say it,
remember
they'll be
that
like,
10 years ago. Yeah, I remember you. You know."
Yeah.
So it's true in big cities. It's not true in small town, man.
No. Yeah.
It's not true at all.
But I think that can be comforting in some ways to think that like, well, nobody cares about you, and then you're kind of like, nobody cares about me. But like also like nobody and this is big cities. I'm kind of disregarding small town right now because like fuck
It's fine.
that.
yeah. Like we can block that out.
But it's not like no one cares about you. Like it is, but it's also like people do care. Like if I saw someone being, like it's like I maybe not everyone thinks this, but I see someone I'm like, that's awesome, like, or that's fucking weird, and like
Me too.
like it. I think about it. And that doesn't mean that like you have to be ashamed of that if someone's thinking about you.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. Like if people if people have like bad opinions about you, like maybe that's teaching them how they don't want to be. And maybe my mistakes are helping someone else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like learn from it, and like my I don't know, good days are helping other people have good days. And I'm trying to be really inspirational. This is not normally how my brain works. I'm trying to project.
It's because
Happiness.
today we're special.
Yeah, we're special. yeah. I feel like I do that though. Like I'm really good at like, well, disclaimer. Oh, I can't even snap today. Okay. I hate myself for saying this, but I feel like I'm like really good at giving advice to people and like genuinely like putting myself in their shoes as much as I possibly can. And I'm not saying that like that's always true and I'm actually doing it, but at least maybe I convince myself that I am.
No, I think you are. I think that's true.
But like I really and I truly and I feel like I say things that like make sense, but then I don't, and I kind of like don't let myself do that for myself. And I feel, but I'm like no, like I do that, but I'm like I know that that'll be good for me, but I'm like
whatever.
But then it'll be good for me, and I'm like but I don't wanna, because then I'll be happy. Scared of being happy. I feel like people are scared of being happy.
Let's talk about
people
this.
Are being happy. Like I know everything.
Yeah, because we're happy,
Special.
so you know. But I feel like that's a thing where people, when you become happy, sometimes that means letting go of the identity that you built for yourself from being so sad or anxious or depressed for so long.
Yeah.
And you don't know who you are if you're not that.
Yeah, like that's your groundedness.
Yeah.
And
that's your ground. Yeah. That's what you ground yourself with.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, really hard to move on from that. Especially if you've never known a version of yourself that was happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then that's totally, you're just jumping in a sea there.
Yeah.
You're jumping in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's full of unknown.
Yeah.
And that's usually fearful.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like for some people, it's at the point where is it more painful to be scared of that, or is it more painful to stay depressed forever?
Yeah.
You know, where that decision kind of has to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know where to start with this. like in relationships and with myself, with the relationship, yeah, that I have with myself. Accurate. I feel like I love myself the most, and I'm the happiest when I do things because I actually love doing them, and I'm actually like happy doing them, rather than because it says something about me. You know what I mean? Like if I cut my hair, I want to cut my hair this length. Oh, but then people will think I'm a lesbian, or people will, you know what I mean? That's what it says about me, but that's not who I am or what it even means.
Yeah.
So when I let go of all that shit, which is really hard to do, which is a constant work in progress for me to do that, like even music, even like clothing, like that says this about me, instead of just I fucking like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
I don't care that it means that I'm a boomer or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I like it. Leave me alone.
I know.
And I it's a little bit annoying that there's so much shame around people liking things.
Yeah.
A lot. But anyways, that's for myself is when I feel the most like genuine and authentic, when I let go of these things. But it's, like I said, constant work. But it feels the same way in relationships. I feel like, because I feel like, let's take like us or like George or whatever, I feel like a group of friends that love each other purely and that love each other regardless of like what they do that says what about them and therefore says what about us because we hang out with these people. You know what I mean? It can get so fucking crazy how far you can take that. And I feel like so many, especially like romantic relationships, I feel like some people are like, I'm dating that person and that says that about me. And are kind of living through their partners rather than for themselves. I've seen those relationships, like especially in high school. But like, which is fair, you know, you're growing up and you don't know and whatever, but and I think it can work for groups of friends too. Like I've definitely seen it in some of my girlfriend groups of like high school, especially, where they're all like the pretty girls and whatever, and that says something about them to be hanging out with those types of girls and shit like that. And I feel like friend groups that are just loving, that are just accepting, and that are just like okay with each other, and that aren't friends with each other for some sort of ulterior like sociability or whatever, but rather for pure genuine love. I feel like it's so rare, and it's so it feels so relieving. It feels so at peace. And I feel like a lot of people try to also like mimic that. Like people understand that and mimic that and trying to like look all fucked up and like look like artists and look like they have it, but then they're just mimicking it too. And they're they're doing the same things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like and that's what I feel like too about like all relationships, like friend groups, and I feel like a lot of people they find people that they like to look at or like their appearance and mimic it. But then I feel like that's why, and it's fair to do that, because in some ways, like, because obviously if someone likes the same thing as you, you're probably gonna like other things similarly. But it's not, everyone like focuses so much on the appearance part of it. It's so much like, why do friends have to look alike to be alike in other ways? I'm saying that as we look like are literally look the same right now, but
it's fine.
It's fine. But like that's just like, I feel like that's just like happenstance, like, or what's that word?
Happenstance?
I don't know why I said happenstance. It's happenstance, but like coincidence.
Coincidental.
And that happens a lot. Like it is a lot of coincidence, but oftentimes it's not. People just change their personalities to the extreme of their personalities to match someone that they like, and then people are just friends with people that they don't even like, and that's where people get lost, because then they're stuck in friendships and relationships that they don't feel loved in because of what it says about them for other people. And it's
That's
so
crazy.
sad. I know, and it's so sad, so true. And like, because I've done that so much with myself, and it's like
Me too. Yeah.
it's so hard. It's like it's so easy for us to talk about it and say like, don't do that. But like all these, I feel like all these things that we're saying it like it's so simple. Like literally everything we're saying, we're like, just do this, and
it literally all applies to us as well.
Yeah.
And we're all working on it and figuring it out. Like, this is a journal, like we said. We're working through it as we talk about it. And this is stuff that I'm very much working on.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't figured out at all.
Yeah, exactly. And like some of these things might feel like it's literally the impossible thing in your life. Oftentimes, like the impossible thing to change, the impossible thing to do. Which it is, because like a lot of these things, it feels like it's impossible for me to do.
Yeah.
Too. But I feel like talking about it, just like, I feel like that's what's inspiring about talking like this, because we can kind of like take ourselves out of it in a way and like think, I guess in like the first one, like I was talking about, like strip yourself down and like think about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And at least maybe that is enough for you right now or at the beginning to understand yourself, to know what you truly want. And maybe even if it's not possible, like you still understand that about yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's some situations where like you can't help it, like you're literally stuck.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. And so, but at least like maybe understanding that it's possible for you, or like these things that you like about yourself are still true and they're still okay, and maybe hopefully sometime you can find time to do those things.
Yeah. And people that support you doing those things.
Yeah.
And that appreciate that about you, rather than like appreciate it about you because it looks good for them to be friends with someone like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And people get, I mean, I think we already said it, but it's just it's like so true that like you just get stuck in what people think about you without even knowing it, or just like pressures from other people to do that.
Yeah.
Pressures from parents and shit. Oh my god.
I feel like I'm slowly like, trying to focus more on what I actually like, what I actually want, what music I genuinely like listening to, what clothes I genuinely feel myself wearing. Feel myself when I'm wearing. Trying to come out of that, but it's I say that like I'm slowly coming out of it. It's not that I'm coming out of it, it's I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Right now, it will probably fall back, and it's probably going to be a constant that, you know, I don't think I'll ever figure it out.
Yeah.
Completely, because people around me change, environment change, I change, everything changes all the time. It's constant work, like everything in your mind.
Yeah.
But I feel that my relationships, like intimacy, is so much more fulfilling and meaningful when I'm that way, and when because you know how we project oftentimes, like a lot of the things that we do, you know, if we're very judgy people, we'll project that people are very judgy towards us oftentimes, and stuff like that. So when I'm very genuine, I also project that, and also like I love people for like really who they are, and I feel like the love that I experience for people is so much more pure and genuine. And I'm truly just, I don't know, I love the relationships I have, and that with myself and with other people, you know.
Yeah, it's so true. And I feel like I think about this often, like to do with like loving yourself for who you are, or I don't know if this connects, but it makes my brain think about it at least sometimes, that when you're a teenager or young, or even like now in our 20s, like when something big happens in your life, and because whoever's talking to you about it and whoever says this is maybe older than you, or maybe they're not, but it feels like oftentimes it is, you're like, well, think about, like, this is one moment in time. Think about, there's a huge universe. Like, this doesn't matter. And it's like, it does matter. You're allowed to think that it matters. And it can be, like, it's what's happening in your brain. Like, it can change. That can matter, because that's something you're thinking about, and that's how you process things. And maybe the way that you learn not to do that, or not just be comfortable being yourself, like embrace the fact that your socks don't match, can, like, you know, alter the path of your life in terms of how you react to other things.
Right.
And then it's so frustrating too, like as like a teenager, people telling you that, like, oh, it's just
It's
like
just
puppy
I
love
fool.
or things like that. That's so fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, obviously, like, their mind is still growing, and then you telling them that this huge part of their lives, this, like, 10 years almost of your life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's literally what sets you up for your entire life.
Yeah.
And it's not that
It
you're allowed to
matters so
change.
much.
You're allowed to change, you know, when you hit your 20s, and because that's often what we do, like, I'm not that person that I was then. But that's because you were that then, and that's how you got to where you are now. As much as you wish you could, like, reset. Like, and that's what we were talking about, too, yesterday. Like, I wish that we could maybe sometimes reset our lives, but not like blank slate, let me start over from beginning, but know what we know, but not let it affect our lives.
Yeah.
Now, like, having, like, no strings attached to anything. Maybe we, like, start in a different location in the world even. I don't know. Maybe not. But just letting those experiences guide you without restraining you in that way. I don't know, I just feel like it's so important for people to hear, because it's so, everyone says it, oh, well, you know, look at how big the universe is, it's infinite, and that doesn't matter. It's like, but it does matter. It does. Like, why doesn't it matter?
Yeah, I feel like that can be comforting for some people to, like, I feel like for me there are times definitely where it's comforting to think about, like, it won't matter in 5 years.
Definitely. Yeah.
It won't matter in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't fucking, like, when I feel ashamed of something or embarrassed about something, it doesn't fucking, you know, it can be helpful.
Yes.
But I think that saying that about things where, like, your socks, for example, let's take the sock example. Like, I feel like you telling me that it doesn't matter that my socks, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It doesn't make me change my mind, or it doesn't make me any less anxious or any less, like, you saying that is telling me there's something wrong with the way that I feel and the way that I think and the way that I process life, rather than, like, understanding why I feel these ways and how I process these things and how can I help myself live a better life and better understanding myself so I can manage it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And I feel like that's the thing, that people get so used to, like, people telling them things and, like, preaching them things about how to live life, and then people just project those things without maybe even understanding them, but seeing it as, like, the surface level thing that it is, and then just telling other people that, and that's how things get carried down, and then that's how everything gets misinterpreted these days too, because I think about all the time when I hear sayings, and I'm like, why do we say that? That actually, like, what those words mean, like, there's some, I can't think of an example right now, but there's some phrases that we say where we use words that we don't use in our everyday vocabulary. And it's like, how can we say that phrase without actually letting that word participate in our lives as a normal word, and then using that? Like, we don't even understand the phrase, but we've taken it out of context and, like, just twisted it and let it fit this. In which, a lot of cases, I'm not saying phrases don't make sense. It's literally the whole point of them. That's how we, you know, relate things to each other. Yeah. But there's some phrases that I feel like don't make any sense, and I wish we could just understand what we're saying. And
do you have an example?
I'll have to think on it.
I think the thing of, like, things being carried down, and we don't even know why we do these things or say these things anymore, is a really, really, I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been thinking about that a lot for some reason. Well, not a lot, just, like, it's been more in my thoughts. Like, because I was just thinking about, like, you know how buttons for women are, like, on one side and buttons for men are on the other side? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Like, and apparently it's for, like, the servants, like, because they would do it on the women so that they can, I don't know, some shit like that. No, that's what I'm saying, yeah. Yeah, but, you know, and we don't even know why it's that way, but it is still that way from so far back. Yeah. So I think, like, and I'm bringing maybe slightly controversial topics here, but I feel like when people talk about social change and things like that, and, like, other people, like, devalue or discredit their arguments because they're talking about, like, 100 years ago, which 100 years ago is not fucking that long ago. Yeah. But, like, 100 years ago, yeah, it's 100 years ago, but, like, look at how many fucking things in our society that we don't even know why we're saying it or why we're doing it, and it comes from, like, thousands of years. Yeah. You know, like, that shit stays. Yeah. That shit stays. And, like, there's so many things like that, and that to ignore that completely is to ignore your life.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
reality.
Yeah.
Like,
it's and it, oh my god, and like things like that, like it's fine, like, and no one really thinks about why buttons are on different sides of things, and that's like, it's just like, it doesn't really affect any part of our lives now, I guess, because people don't understand that that's why it was, and maybe things are allowed to change like that, you know, and like the evolution of it becomes something else, but it's still like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and well, I mean, some of those things, some of those things stay and are hurtful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we don't realize it because it's such a normal thing of our culture and society, and we grew up and it was always like that. It was always like that. That's the excuse. It was always like that.
It's like, it was never right.
Yeah. Yeah, using like it was always like that as like a moral guide is like, there's countries that like people get killed and like raped and shit, and it's always been like that in those countries. Doesn't make it right. It's not a fucking moral guide. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that's so much. I feel like we may have talked about that before, even in a different way, but I think that shows how like important it is. Not important. I mean, I'm saying it's so important. Listen, I feel like I keep saying it.
I don't think there's a way. I don't think we can escape sounding like condescending or morally superior. We're not. We're really not.
It's because these are just supposed to be like our talks and like And that's something too. Okay, this is kind of
go off. Yeah.
I don't really know. Okay, but when we talk, like we're talking to like our friends, this gets messed up a lot too. But the whole idea of like gossip and things like that. I think it's gossip when like it starts rumors that spread. But I think you're allowed to vent to your friends in private.
Yeah.
And have it feel okay, and you shouldn't feel ashamed. And like maybe like you do say some things that aren't like you feel and you say and they're actually not right and not true. But that's what you're feeling, and maybe you need to get that out to realize, take a deep breath and say, okay, I understand the situation now. You know, a little more, and like that's so like shamed a lot of times too, but that's because it becomes rumors and things are spread. But that's the whole thing with relationships. Like if you relationships, yep, like when you become friends with people because of how they look and you want to be like that, then people don't genuinely care about you, and they feel like it's okay to spread your secrets or things to other people in like the group maybe that look the same, so you feel like it's the same, rather than talking to people who genuinely care. And it's not about keeping secrets. I mean, it is, but it's like genuine trust.
Yeah.
And people like don't understand, like maybe not the value of it. Maybe that's not the right way, but they don't make it a priority. And maybe they try, maybe they think they do, but it's like, I don't think I said that the right way. That's not what I meant.
No, I think that makes sense. I think when you see people as like pawns to benefit your sociability or your image or whatever, then it all feels kind of like a game, and therefore it's kind of fun to go and spill the beans and shake things up with the pawns a little bit.
Yeah, that is true. Rather than like,
oh, it's a whole human who has feelings.
Your pawn.
Yeah.
And it's not even a pawn, because that's the whole point.
It's a whole person. You're holding your person.
Yeah.
You know, and holding, and like I've done it.
Yeah.
I've been
we've all done it.
You know, it's all like, it's normal. It's a human, like it happens or whatever. I think it's just being aware of it or whatever. But no, I agree with the whole gossip thing. Like, did I say thing? Sometimes I speak so fast I don't even know if I'm saying the right things. The whole gossip thing, like people that say that can literally shut the fuck up. I am so annoyed with people who say that. Like, what, you're just like, you're gonna tell me that you never have bursts of emotions, you never have bursts of rage, or not even bursts, you never want to talk about life? Are you human? Sorry, Miss Fucking Perfect. Sorry. Jesus Christ. Like, I am so, like, that's fucking moral superiority bullshit there. You because you don't talk to people, because you repress your fucking feelings, and then you're gonna punch a wall at some point. Like, shut up.
That's so funny, because it's so, like, oftentimes people don't share because they're scared. And
They're
like
scared?
or like people like they've never had anyone to trust, so that's why
Yeah.
they can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
when like there's like that there's like those two extremes that
Yeah.
are so real and so true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like fuck
Yeah.
you, fuck off, just talk about it. But
Yeah.
then it's like it's okay. Like
Yeah, I'm here for you if you need to talk.
it sounds so like condescending too, which is funny the way we're talking about that. But that's I don't know. I'm laughing
Yeah.
about it because I'm avoiding the seriousness of that. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like because that's like the realest shit too. Not having anyone to talk, like
Yeah,
not having a friend
yeah.
that you talk to, and then you
Yeah.
literally can't express those things to anyone.
Yeah, no, that is a problem.
It is.
Not a problem. Like it is a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Of trust, and I think it's something. I don't mean to bring that into it, but I think it's a little bit more common in like men relationships because they've been like socialized a bit more to like not like feelings and like not talk about their emotions and blah blah blah.
Right, like how like men can't cry, they're told.
Yeah,
whatever.
that bullshit or whatever, which I have a lot of empathy with. I
Yeah.
think, and I try to like for the men in my life, like my friends, to be like a person for them to
Yeah.
be there, but I also can't do that for like I'm not a free therapist.
Yeah.
And I'm not anything close to being qualified to tell you what to do with your feelings. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I feel like they also need, I mean, I don't fucking know what they need, but I assume that they would be nice for them to have a person that's like them
yeah.
that can, you know,
Yeah.
talk about these things. And it's very sad and it's very, like, I am such an oversharer too, and I feel like I've had so many.
Yeah.
I can talk to anyone. I
Yeah.
have zero problem with that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's something I have so much. I wish you could, but I also can't like almost understand because it's been such an easy thing for me, which is
Yeah.
kind of fucked up. I feel like that's something I the beginning of therapy especially, I've kind of worked through it a bit more now, but like I've been so belittled and made to feel insecure from like knowing my worth, knowing my
Yeah.
value, being confident, liking myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's probably moments where I was maybe a bit of over the top, you know, in my
Yeah.
high school years.
Yeah.
But like, I feel that I've always been a caring person to other people. Like, I don't think I've ever, let me think of that. I don't know if I can say these statements like that. But I mean, generally speaking, like me liking myself or whatever, like it's always been, I've always been aware that I was not better than anyone regardless. Like I didn't think of myself as higher
Yeah.
or anything. I just liked myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I knew that I had certain skills or assets or whatever that were different from people around me or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I've always been so, I haven't always been, there's moments where I've been very belittled or made to feel insecure or made to feel like I was wrong for thinking that about myself or
Yeah.
liking myself or being confident. Like, and that's why when I started therapy, it was something where I felt like so much guilt about, because I felt like if I started liking myself or if I started being confident, I was a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I was wrong, and I was selfish,
Yeah.
and I was not humble, and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's so messed up.
Mm-hmm.
That's so messed up. And, like, it's not just, like, one person in my life. Like, there's multiple people in my life
Yeah.
that has said certain things. And, you know, sometimes it was, like, that was a good, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can
Humble me.
humble me down a bit there.
Yeah.
But there's some times where I was literally just like, oh my god, I like this outfit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I realize I'm actually like not a bad person. Like, bon, bon, bon.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you like what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has those moments where they're like, I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
My
someone
voice
like
is
I
so
should
good
be
right now.
someone should make a movie about my life. You know, and then like
Yeah.
it's so fair and fun to think
Yeah.
about that. I think
Yeah.
about that all the time. But then at the same time, you're like, someone's watching you and you're like, I just want to be alone in my room under the covers.
Yeah.
Like, please just go away. And it's
Yeah.
like, but that's like the fun part about movie. I feel like I love movie making, filmmaking, all that stuff, because it's like just content that people see in general, like to show off the parts that people don't see. And that is like the power of movies, that like showing people that it's okay to be alone in those times.
Yeah.
And that like maybe that gives you validation that like you're still being seen even when you don't want to be seen, and not in a creepy way.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's true. I've never thought of that.
Because I feel like if people feel like, okay, I want to be alone and I am alone, that they let themselves be who they truly are. Like, you're not being recorded, but like in this like weird analogy of a world where like if everyone's lives was a movie, the people that understand things, I think, not to say that I understand it the right way, but the people that understand things feel like they can't talk about those things because of the backlash that they'll receive about it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, I think it's also that like I know that I still have like so much to learn about all of it. Like even the areas that I think I know more.
This is a disclaimer, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the areas that I think that I know more, I know that it's such fluid opinions.
Yeah.
That change all the time, and I've been so wrong.
Yeah.
So many times.
Yeah.
And I've been proven that I've been so wrong so many times. Yeah. And I've proved myself that was like I'm probably wrong right now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I don't want to come across like I know all this shit, or that especially when it comes to experiences of other people. Mm-hmm. Like although I do want to be aware and be able to bring that awareness, I also don't want to speak about things I haven't firsthand experienced like it was my own. Yeah.
It's important for people to talk about these things like this, because if you don't talk about it though, like at all, then you're just gonna think the same thing always. And I think it's so important to like talk about these things, but in like the most open,
safe,
like place, and that's how you understand. Even if it's like there's some like almost everything is, you can't understand somebody else at all, like even just another person, like let alone someone from like another culture or anything. Like you're never gonna understand that, but like if you don't maybe ask or talk about it, like you will have zero. Like maybe a little bit's better than none, but you also need to be like sensitive and sensitive, open-minded, understanding. Like you can't go into it saying that you're right. Yeah. And that's what like I think I hate. Like I hate rightness. Yeah. Yeah. Like I hate it.
Or like not even thinking that you're right, but thinking that there's somewhere that you could argue something opposite of that. Yeah. Just for like shits and giggles. Yeah. Like can you just listen? Yeah. It's not fucking about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so easy in that sense too to blame it on other people. Like we're like, okay, I didn't participate in this bad act that became a social norm at the time, and to like put the blame on everyone else, but maybe you did without knowing it because it was so normalized. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's what it's so, you just put the blame on someone else, and it's like, I don't know, you kind of have to take the responsibility for maybe even what you
don't know that you did.
Yeah, don't know that you did. Because I feel like everyone's guilty of something at some point, sometime. Like, it's not really fair to say that you didn't do it. It's literally, like, kind of, like, almost guilty by association.
Like, by saying, well, I didn't do it personally, so I'm not going to worry about it. You're saying, I'm not going to look at myself and look if I actually did anything wrong, and I'm going to take any accountability for it, because I'm offended that you blame me for this when I didn't do anything wrong. And then maybe you did a bunch of fucking shit wrong, but you never fucking looked at it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hypocrisy. Yeah. Which I think we all are. Like,
for sure. Like, as I'm saying that,
I know.
there's probably a bunch of shit I did wrong that I haven't looked at yet.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. It's weird though. I think about this with games. Like, games like dumb things like board games or sporting games or literally anything, that there is like an end goal of like somebody won, and that tells you that you should be praised, you are right, like all this stuff. And that's the same thing that goes in like conversation and anything, because it's like you feel like you've won, which maybe you shouldn't dwell on the little mistakes you made, because ultimately like you won. But the same in a different context, like, do understand that you made mistakes in the process of winning. Like, don't dwell on them, and like don't let yourself be proud of what you did, but also don't do things just for the sake of winning or being right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really, but like, that's why I find it hard to play games sometimes, because it's like there's always an end goal, because you have to finish the game.
Yeah.
That's the point, is to finish the game. When you think about that as life, like, that's like you're doing something just like the end goal, finishing life at a certain, if you're winning and only one person can win.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a mindset that like I'm still obviously working on deconstructing in my own life, to like not see things as like end goals and winning and blah blah blah, because like I think it's also like being in capitalism, I can't say it, but capitalism, when I say it quick. Like, where you gotta make money and have the bigger business and have the bigger thing and have this, and it's all like for something, for winning, that our mindset becomes like, well, that's the way of life. It's a social, it's an economy system. It's not a way of life. It's a system that we live in to try and like, you know, be in a society or whatever. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything. I'm just saying it's not life. It's not everything. Just because it's an economy, it's money. It's not even like, you know, and like to see everything, like I think like, oh, like like we were talking in the first one, get a husband, get a job, get this and that, and when it's all for that end goal, what about the process? When you get it, what do you do after? About like these, it's not about these points. Like, life is not like it's a line. It's moments. You know, it's not like points. And people making everything about these points, it's like, that's such a tiny little nibble of your